Hello and welcome again to Living the Dream. This is Steve Matley, your host. I'm in the studio solo today. Marie Waite will be back with us on Saturday. Today she is actually facilitating a speed networking event up in Temecula. So that's going on. Should be starting actually very shortly here. For the meantime, I'm in the studio with you. Today I'm going to talk to you about setting a set of personal values. That helps you in decision making, it helps you in business, helps you in life, and it helps to sort out, it gets a lot of the stress and clutter out of your life when it comes to decision making. My question to you is, do you have a clearly defined set of values? And what I mean by that is those things that guide your life that are non-negotiable. The things that tell you all the time, this is what I'm going to do, and these are the things I'm not going to do. Sadly, most people kind of wander through life. They make decisions on the cuff, they talk to people, but they don't really have a set of boundaries within which they can make decisions. So that means they stress and struggle and lose sleep over making decisions. It takes a long time, and they're never sure if they made the right decision. They're always wondering if what they decided was the right thing or if they should have done something different. If you have a clearly defined set of values as a structure, it's like putting a fence around your yard. You know where the boundaries are. You know when you're in, you know when you're out. If you don't, I lived in a pretty large property when I moved to Temecula. It was a pretty good size, and it didn't have any fences around the perimeter. It was just open out into other people's yards and into an open meadow that belonged to the owners association. Most of the people there lived on lots that were an acre or more. And we weren't always sure whose property was where. Well, when I put a pool in, I had to put a fence all around the property. And I had to have actually a surveyor come out to tell me where the property corners were and where all the lines were, because I was never quite sure. So we actually had that done, and I was surprised at exactly where my real property lines were. I'd seen it on a map, but I had never actually figured out where it was as one property just blended into another. Once I knew that, it was easy to figure out exactly what was mine and what wasn't mine and what I could improve and what I couldn't touch and where drainage had to go and those type of things. I needed the boundaries. So in decision making is the same thing. So my question to you is, do you ever struggle with making decisions? For example, what career are you to pursue? We have a lot of options. Even if you've already gone to college and got a degree in something, the majority of people do not work in the field in which their degree or their major was, because they've, for whatever reason, changed their minds, or maybe their degree wasn't very employable. So how do you know what career to pursue? What if you have different opportunities? You have a decision to make. You can stay where you are and continue in a particular job, or there's an offer to go to another job, or maybe somebody offered you an opportunity to work for yourself. Should you take a promotion? Well, on one hand, maybe there's more prestige, there's a title and a better working environment because you get an office instead of a cubicle or something, and there's more pay, but it means you'll have less time at home. It means that you'll have more responsibility. You'll be taking work home with you. So do you take that promotion? What's the trade-off? Do you accept a position with another company when there's more money thrown at you, but maybe that means you have to commute an extra 30 minutes each day? What about relocating? What if you have an opportunity and it means you have to move somewhere? I recently relocated from Riverside County down to San Diego County, and a lot of that was in looking at the values I had, and the reasons that I had originally moved up there had all changed. That was for raising children and having more space to have things that kids need when they're growing up and have their friends over. Well, now that they're gone, I don't need all that. So I can live closer where I don't need to drive so much to get to where I work. How about starting your own business? You may have an opportunity to start a business with a partner. Maybe you have some people you work with that have asked you if you're interested in joining up with them to go out on your own. Maybe someone's approached you with a business opportunity, one of those multi-level marketing type deals, and it seems pretty tempting, but you're not sure if you should get into that or not. You know it's going to take some extra time away initially, but you're not sure if you should do that. How about if you're on a position where you're debating something with someone, maybe your employer, maybe with a friend, maybe with someone at your church, and you don't know if you should compromise or stand firm in your position. You're not sure, is this a big enough issue for me to fight for, or is this something that's small and I should just kind of let it go? What about following your traditional background, what you grew up with, versus traveling a whole different kind of path, going down your own way? What about beginning a new relationship with someone or taking that relationship to the next level? These are all decisions that we have to deal with on a given day, on a daily basis. And on To make these decisions easier to do, we need to have a set of boundaries with which we can quickly look and make decisions. Sometimes decisions are simple yeses or nos. Sometimes you have to choose between option A, B, or C. And we need to have some type of parameter. So the values in your life will determine things. For example, what are your values when it comes to family? Is family the most important thing to you, or is family something that comes after your career, or is it something that comes after your relationship, your spiritual relationship, if you have a strong faith? Where does that come in at that point? And that may change at different points in your life. Where you are with family when you are single may be very different than where you are with family if you are married and have children at home. Generally, people that are married with children at home put family at a much higher level, and yet that is at a time usually in their life when they're also struggling trying to build up their career and their work position, and that creates a tension, creates a stress. So how do you know what to do where when the boss wants one thing but the family needs something else? What about areas of finances? Finances is another area where we have to trade things off. Obviously, to build more finances, sometimes it takes more investment of time. Trade our time for money, but that takes time away from other things. It takes time away from our ability to stay physically fit. It takes time away from our family. It takes time away from our spiritual endeavors. It takes time away from reading or maybe pursuing higher education. It takes time away. It takes money away. So what about those finances? If we want to invest in things, if we want to put more time in to build up more savings, those are trade-offs. What about making decisions with finances? Do we buy real estate? Do we invest in gold? Do we put money in the stock market? High risk, low risk? How much do we put in? How much do we put into safe savings like college savings accounts and retirement accounts? All those are tough decisions to make. In the area of spiritual areas, if you're active in a church, you have a strong faith. How much time do you give to that church? How much money do you give to that church? Do you ever feel like you show up on Sunday, you leave, and you feel like that's all there is to it, but you want more to it, but there's so many other things taking up your time, having to make decisions? What about your career path, and how important is it to get promotions? How important is it to move up? How important is it to be perceived as a leader in your industry? How important is it to groom yourself for the next promotion in your company? Educational. You want to go back for, I know a lot of people that want to go back and finish degrees or pursue higher education. The time and money is a problem. So what they're constantly battling is, okay, I have so much obligation with work, and I have obligations with family, and I have obligations with my kids' athletic events, and I have obligations volunteering at the school, and I have things going on with church. When am I going to be able to do that? And sometimes there has to be a values-based decision on, do I sacrifice for maybe 2 years a lot of other things to push through and get that degree, and then I can go back and make up that time later, assuming that you can do that. Because that takes a lot of time and money. Those are hard decisions you need to make. So, and relational decisions obviously are tough too. So, you need to have some kind of base set of values with which to work, a parameter, so that when things come down and you have to make decisions, you can quickly look at your value set, and it's nice to be able to say, you know what, that's a definite yes, or that's a definite no, because that does or does not line up with my values. And for the most part, your values are non-negotiable. The reason I say for the most part is they are non-negotiable in the short term, but the values may change. The overall value doesn't change, but the specifics will change over time. For example, my family is very important to me. Now, family at different phases is a different thing. When I was young and single, my family was my immediate family around me, and what was important to me was obviously maintaining contact, but I didn't have a wife, didn't have kids, nothing like that. So my school and my work took a priority in time. My family was kind of always there. When I got married, that was different. When I had kids, it became very different. I needed to focus on putting some time with my kids, and that meant there were some things that I really wanted to do that I didn't do. Things I would rather like to spend money on that I couldn't spend money on. Things I'd like to spend my time on that I couldn't spend my time on, because I had to focus on the kids, and it was well worth it during that time. There was a time I did decide to go back to school. That meant I actually had to sacrifice some time with my family while I was pursuing that degree for a couple of years. And the idea being that when I got through with that, I could get a better position at a higher pay and actually have, instead of working 2 jobs, only work 1 job and have some of that time back again. So those are decisions I had to make. So the family dynamic hasn't changed. Now my kids are grown now; they're grown up. So I have more time to pursue the things that I would prefer to pursue now, because I don't have kids at home anymore. So the values of my family haven't changed. It's still important to me, but the specifics and how much time and how much effort I have to put in with my family has changed very much based on circumstances of life. And that's how the values kind of work. They're non-negotiable, but where they fit together will change over time as your life situation changes. Physical fitness is another example. If you are in a situation where you have maybe are not physically fit but you'd like to be, it's going to take extra money and extra time and extra effort to get up to speed, to get back to where you are physically fit. You may have to invest in a personal trainer and spend more time in doing exercise and really be diligent on what you're eating and sacrifice a lot of the things you like to eat. But once you get on track, it becomes a little easier. You don't need to be as intense, because now you're just maintaining. It doesn't mean that physical fitness is any less important. It means that you don't have to put the same level of resources and time into it at that point. And that's what these values are about. So we want to set values that are mostly timeless, but they can be adjusted every 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years or whatever as your life changes, as far as which values take priority at which times. So let's talk a little about how we're going to determine what our values are. Most of us have a general idea what our values are. We kind of know what's right and wrong. We know what we think is the right thing and what we think is the wrong thing. We know what types of philosophies and political arguments and faith that we agree with and what we don't agree with. But most of us have never actually written it down. We've never really taken the time to walk through it and say, this is what's important to me. So I'm going to encourage you to take some time and write down what really is important to you. And I would tell you to go through and start looking at different adjectives that describe values and mark the most ones that are important to you. For example, achievement and adventure, affection, conviction, courage, courteousness, creativity, excellence, ethics, environmentalism, enthusiasm, energy, family, fame, money, flexibility, focus, fun, giving, influencing others, being independent, humor, humility, learning, leadership, knowledge, passion, patience, peace, playfulness, physical challenges, pleasure, power or authority, privacy, public service, how about recognition, sophistication, sensitivity, self-respect, self-determination, vitality, wisdom, stability, spontaneity, technology, time, travel, unity, vigor. All those are different examples of words that describe different values. And I would encourage you to kind of find a comprehensive list of those type of values, of adjectives. Go through, you can probably Google something that has a list of different values and attributes and characteristics. And do several of them. Find a long list and really just mark the ones that really stand out to you. Say, yeah, that's a really important thing for me. And I would say you probably want to go through and mark maybe 20 or 30 of those kind of words that really speak to you and say, yeah, that's important to me. That's extremely important to me. And once you've got those identified, I would narrow that down to about 10. And the most important, because some of them are going to overlap. You're going to find some of these faith and spirituality and those overlap. That kind of becomes one category. Finances, money, financial independence, financial security. Those are all kind of the same thing. So those would all fold into one. And you want to get your list of about 10 or so of those items. And then you want to define what that means to you. What does that mean to you? And I'm going to give you some areas to look at. You need to look at your financial as one area of your life. Planning for retirement, investing, having enough money to cover what your expenses are, living within your means, being debt-free. Financial also includes things like purchasing or owning your own house, paying that off, owning your own cars without a payoff, uh, investing in not just retirement, but current in real estate, in stocks and bonds, in precious metals, any of those type of things that you think are important to you. For some people, they like a real simple financial portfolio. I just want a savings account, I want a retirement account, and money in the bank. I'm good to go. Other people get a little more complicated, and they have a lot of investments that take CPAs and tax attorneys to help figure out for them, and financial advisors. But figure out what's important to you in that area. So financial is one area. Physical is another area. Physical is going to include not your health. It's going to be your health and well-being. So when was the last time you had a physical exam with a doctor, and how did that come out? Is your cholesterol where it needs to be? Is your blood pressure where it needs to be? Your respiration? Can you walk up a long flight of steps without being winded? For example, if you live in the San Diego area, there's a set of stairs between the two wings of the convention center downtown. Could you walk up those steps without getting completely winded? If not, then you probably need to work on a little physical exercise. How's your heart? Is it strong? Your lungs? Do you smoke? Do you drink a lot? Anything like that? Those are health and fitness issues. Working out the gym. Maybe you have a goal of running a 5K or a 10K, or participating in a triathlon or something. So those are all physical, as well as your outside recreation stuff would fit in there too. And we talked about the budget. Some of these are the same categories. So your recreation stuff, what do you like to do for fun? What do you like to do? Do hiking, boating, fishing, camping, surfing, rollerblading, skiing, anything like that. What is exciting to you? That goes into your physical side, your physical activity. So that's another area. So you got financial and physical. Another area you want to look at is your spiritual area. That's not just a matter of giving money to a church. That's a matter of, if you are active in your church, participate. Not just attend, but be a part of it. Volunteer. Invest some of yourself into that area if that's important to you. If faith is important to you, you should be investing money, time, and your talents into that endeavor. And some of that also is not just in the church body. For example, your local church. It's also independent, private stuff. Do you have time where you're reading your scriptures, or you're praying, you're doing those type of spiritual disciplines to build that spiritual base? So that's a third category. You want to look at relational. How's your relationship with your family, your relationship with your spouse, your relationship with your children, your relationship with your friends, your relationship with coworkers? All that is what are the goals for that? Do you have ideas for what are the values for working with other people that are in your life? These are people in your life. Part of these values is determining who you let into your life. We don't have to let everybody in that approaches us and wants to be a part of our life. Sometimes we have to be very picky. There are some people that just drain us. They drain us financially, they drain us physically, they drain us emotionally, they drain us mentally. Those are people that don't belong. And so part of setting the values is determining who we let in relationships in our lives, and who we need to get rid of in our lives that are taking a lot out of us. So part of setting these values up is really helping determine who we're going to allow to be a part of our lives, and whose lives we're going to be a part of. Educational. What do you want to do educationally? Self-education. I have formal degrees, but most of my education has been focused on self-educating. Reading and studying things on my own out of general interest, or because to expand my knowledge, and just some of it's just to keep my mind sharp. As much as you need to be physically fit, you also need to be mentally fit. So it's not just traditional education, although that's very important, and that is a part of this. Do you need to get a degree to move up in your work? Do you need a degree to change careers into something that you want to do? There are some fields of study that absolutely positively require a formal degree from a respected institution. If you want to get into, let's say, psychotherapy, family counseling, you can't do that without at least a master's, if not a doctorate degree. You need education. Obviously, medical doctors need degrees. Attorneys need degrees before they can practice. CPAs need to have degrees. So there's different things you may need a degree for. They're just in general business, you may need a degree to move up to the level you'd like to move up to. But there's also self-education. We did a show with John Richardson a while back where we talked about self-educating. Self-education is extremely important, and you need to take time to do that, to always be learning, especially as fast as things are changing around us with technology and the pace of development around the world. We need to constantly be learning. So we have financial, physical, spiritual, relational, educational, and then we have leadership and business. Moving up in your company, building your career, what position, what particular career do you want to be in? Do you need to switch careers? Are you using your time, your talents, and your gifts the best way you can? Can you do that better working for a different company? Can you do that better if you can work into another position? Can you do that better if you change departments? Could you do that better if you went into business for yourself? Could you do that better if you partnered with someone? There's a lot of ways we can do that, and so we need to make those values for those categories. So that's a rundown quickly of what the values are, why we need them, how they help us make decisions, which will save us a lot of time, and the different categories in which we need to make the values. There's also the initial step of finding a list of characteristics and values that are important to us, and writing those down and narrowing that down to a list of about our top 10. And make sure that top 10 spreads over those categories. We had 3, 4, 5, we had 6 categories. Make sure they spreads over that and see how they overlap. You will find that the same values will fit into multiple categories. And then you can start making sentences out of those values. So for example, maybe your value is family, so you end up writing up a statement about what that means to you. And I put family down as a value, and I put down a couple of other things at time. And so I write down that family is my personal foundation. While my kids are grown and I'm single, it is important to me to maintain relationship with not just my children, but also with my parents and my siblings, and stay connected with my family, because out of them comes the values and the tradition that makes me who I am and guides my decisions in life. So that's my statement on why family is so important. So maybe I have one on leadership, and I say, well, leadership is extremely important attribute of success. So for me, I like to constantly be mentored and be coached by someone, and also constantly be mentoring and coaching other people. I have a strong belief that everyone should have somebody that they look up to that is helping to bring them up, and someone they are reaching down to that they are helping to bring up. And everybody should have that type of relationship. So that's important to me. So that's a value I would write down under leadership. And then maybe physical. Physical, I take assessment, and I am always been fighting weight. However, all my vital signs are very healthy. When I go to the doctor, my cholesterol's always very good. My blood pressure's always pretty low. Everything checks out. Glucose, everything. I'm always extremely, extremely healthy, except for one category, and that is I'm usually a little heavier than I should be. So, ironically, I am overweight according to their tables, and yet I am one of the healthiest people in their office. I can run 5 miles without getting winded. I can do long bike rides. But I also know that means there's a dietary issue there, and I know that I need to not eat so much of certain foods, some carbs and high-fat items and those type of things. So I work on that. So health is important to me, mainly because I feel that it's a lot better to spend the time and the money to stay healthy than it is to have to take the time and the money later to get healthy once you're sick. So I don't want to spend months and months in the hospital. I understand that as much as you try, you can't avoid everything. Sometimes things just happen. But for what I can control, I want to control that. So for me, I would say I maintain healthy practices, including diet, exercise, and avoiding things that could damage my health. I avoid the poisons. So that's a statement that I have on physical health. So those are examples of some of the value statements that you can come up with for your life based upon those keywords. So you find those keywords, and then you define what those means within those categories. And you will find that it makes it a lot easier to make decisions when you can do that. So I'm going to give you a few more examples when we come back. I'm going to take a short break in just a minute, but I'm going to quickly run over a couple of things with you. For example, I put a value in here of money, and part of money I put it's important to me to both make money and give money. It's important to me to give money. I like giving money to what I want to support. In my church, charities that I support, people that need help. But I can't do that if I don't make money. You can't give what you don't have. So it's important for me to also make money. I do not look at making a profit or a revenue as anything wrong. I see that as an obligation. It is an obligation to make money to me. It's an obligation to make money so that I have resources that I can share with other people, and so that I don't become a burden to other people, so that I can take care of myself. If I can take care of myself and I have something left over, I can help other people who are in need, and then not just help them, but part of what I like to do is try to, if I can, help them to also become more self-sufficient so that they can take care of themselves, and then eventually have enough left over they can help other people too. So that's a value I have when it comes to money. I see money as a tool. I do not see money as an end in itself, but I also know it's necessary. To me, it's like oxygen. And so my value on that is very similar. I need oxygen to live, but it's not the reason I live. So I need money to live and to help other people, but it's not the reason that I live. It is a tool. It's something that I need to use, and that is an integral part of my value system. So when I have to make decisions about money, I keep that in mind and know that that's what I'm working on. Also, I would say in vision, for me, leadership and vision is looking at big picture items. To me, it's important to always have a long-term view out there of the future, looking way off into where does this leave. If you heard some of the talks I've had previously with John Richardson, who's been a guest in our studio before, we've talked about legacy. We've talked about what is left when you leave this world. And for me, it's very important that there's a value there, that I leave something behind other than just a box of stuff, or other than a storage locker, or other than a garage full of boxes. That's not what I want to leave behind. I want to leave behind something that's tangible and something that lives on well beyond me. And a lot of that is the values that I pass to my kids and to the people I work with and the people I've helped. So we are going to take a short break. When we return, we will continue our talk about values, and we'll talk step by step how to go through it and what to do once you have some values. Remember, by setting a set of values, it'll help you to live well, learn constantly, laugh often, and lend a hand, which is the mantra on this show. This is Living the Dream with Steve Matley, and I'll be right back after this.